Hello, my name is Lola, and I'm going to be reacting to Miss Marvel's Episode 2 breakdown, Easter eggs, and details you might miss by new Rockstars. If y'all want to like, comment, subscribe to my channel, you can. Or if you don't want to, that's fine too. I just do this for fun. Here we go.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Boss, and this is a breakdown of Miss Marvel Episode 2, which teaches us all a little something about pretending your crush is your cousin. When we're in the wish fulfillment genre, it may just come true. I mean, hey, we don't know that for sure yet, which is exactly what we say at family reunions down in the South. Let us break down this episode shot by shot for all the MCU Easter eggs and details you missed, and thanks to Boxu for sponsoring this video. More on their tasty offerings later. And the best way to support New Rockstars is to get our Ms. Marvel inspired Cosmic Daydream shirt at newrockstarsmerch.com. When you get this limited edition latest obsession, you'll get the added option to write in a custom shout out for our Ms. Marvel after shows. Notice how the S in the previously on screen matches the S of the Ms. Marvel title in the comics and in the series. They intentionally stylized that S to draw the I to it and make it clear that she isn't a Miss Marvel, like little Miss Superhero, but rather Ms., an independent woman in control of her own life. The episode opens on Kamala strutting back into her school to Mace's Feel So Good, the chorus to which is bad, 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 bad boy. You make me feel so good. A little tease of the bad, bad boy Kamran, whom Kamala will fall for this episode. Bad, bad boy with ulterior motives. She wears a Save Ferris button, Save Ferris being a ska punk band who of course got its name from the gag in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where Ferris faked being deathly ill to get out of school, launching the Save Ferris campaign, while he rigged up a stereo in his bedroom to fool his parents, similar to how Kamala tried to use Zuzu to trick her parents into thinking she was in her room. She fools around with a basketball, echoing Andrew Garfield Peter Parker's post power-up moves in The Amazing Spider-Man, but then she bumps into Kamran, knocking over her chemistry textbook, as we saw with Peter and MJ smooching beside their chemistry textbook. It's a little on the nose. Kamran wears the color blue, and with Kamala's purple color tones, there definitely is some conscious wardrobing here, as in the Miss Marvel comics, Kamran gets hit with the same Terrigen mist that Kamala does, transforming him into an Inhuman with blue colored bioluminescence, where he can release energy blasts or transfer his energy into an object, causing it to glow and to explode. This episode's ending reveals Kamran was targeting Kamala from the very beginning, in league with his mother, Najma, and I would not be surprised if he actually bumped into her on purpose here, either to plant a tracker on her, maybe lift something off her, or maybe just test her power reflexes. Kamala tells Bruno,
I tried to shrink and fly and talk to ants and none of it worked.
Wait, what makes you think you have Ant-Man powers?
Because we're both charming and we look a lot younger than we are.
a nod to actor Paul Rudd's freakish agelessness, and the fact that in the MCU, Scott Lang bypassed the blip while he was in the quantum realm, making him older on paper than he is biologically, and at one point in Endgame, he did have the body of a baby, and the fact that all of these MCU actors playing teenagers are several years older in real life than their characters are. They passed this poster with a QR code, which is also something we saw in many episodes of Moon Knight. Intentional Easter egg snuck in there by the Marvel Studios team, because when you scan this with your phone, it actually takes you to an issue from the 2014 Miss Marvel run. Actually, this same QR code showed up in episode 1 on the ATM in Bruno's Circle Q store, and last week that code took you to Miss Marvel number 1 from 2014. This week, the QR code takes you to number 15 of the 2014 Ms. Marvel run, the issue when Kamala meets Kamran. Social media star Zoe Zimmer quadrupled her followers, posting about her rescue by Kamala on TikTok, and she brags about it here in the cafeteria.
And then this beautiful white light cascaded over me. I felt this wave of calmness, like I knew I was safe.
Okay, I don't want to read in this too much. And we're all probably gonna come around on Zoe. She's actually much nicer than she seems right now. But the one thing we know about that hard light that saved her was that it was not the color white. It had other colors in it. I'm sorry, Zoe. I know you didn't mean to say it. But Zoe does bullshit the name Nightlight, similar to in Far From Home when Ned had to come up with a superhero name and came up with Night Monkey. The opening titles of this episode toggle through a bunch of interesting designs. First, Miss Marvel as Brass Knuckles. The period on the Ms is the same shape as the Starburst icon on her bangle, then her car dashboard, then a Donkey Kong style game, and a night sky with a crescent moon evoking the Moon Knight title imagery, and then one in the style of Saved by the Bell. Kamala makes a fist.
How does it feel?
Like an idea come to life.
Yeah, another clue that Kamala's powers are a form of wish fulfillment triggered by her inner desires and thoughts. Also, if this is innate to Kamala Khan's DNA, that makes it even more likely she could be an Inhuman as she is in the comics, but rather than exposed to Terrigen Mist herself, she just may be the daughter, granddaughter, and great-granddaughter of Inhumans and activated by a piece of Kree tech. That could be what triggered the Terrigenesis process. The mural by the playground that they train at was actual art created by New Orleans area artist and activist B. Mike Brandon Odoms. And then Kamala gets the idea from watching Bruno play, looks like the game Lucky's Tale, to use her hard light as a lily pad. Bruno's tablet impressively tracks Kamala's vitals and is able to deduce from that the power comes from within her, not from the bangle. Meaning that the bangle really just unlocked the power that was already in her DNA from her family ancestry. And like we are wondering what that is, Kamala begins to speculate.
So what am I, like a guardian or something? Dude, am I related to Thor?
Oh, no, I didn't say any of that. Maybe.
While Kamala is probably not an Asgardian like Thor is, she may be something else extraterrestrial in origin, like an inhuman experiment by the alien race of the Kree. She and Bruno notice some writing on her bangle, Kamala thinking it's either Arabic or maybe Urdu, but from our vantage point, it's not clear if they are talking about the symbols on the green bands or somewhere else on this bangle. But for reference, we do know the alphabets for the Kree and the Skrull languages, and we've also seen the written language of Xandarian in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So Kamala experiments with this lily padding on this hard light. She hangs from the ledge by that Iron Brand poster that we saw last episode. This fake out with her and Bruno acting like she was gonna fall off the building just for her to drop a few feet definitely reads like a restaging of Natasha's death in Endgame, with Bruno playing the platonic ideal best friend Clint. I assume an account of this would have been in an episode of Scott Lang's podcast. For Natasha to now be on a memorial poster in Avengers Con, I would hope that Kamala would take a moment of silence. And she eventually gets the hang of it. The shot framing her within the bolt of the neon Edison sign, just a cool way of showing that she is now in control of the hard light. If you think about it, that is kind of what a neon sign is. It's a light, but it's hard. It's hard. Now, of course, in order to accomplish the stunt of this shot, they had someone on a green screen set and then VFX them onto this roof, which is why that little celebratory yes at the end just looks a little weird. Oh, and this Edison sign, by the way, is a reference to the Inventor. That was Kamala Khan's first real villain in the 2014 comics, a cockatiel bird possessed with the consciousness of a clone of Thomas Edison. Actually, that cockatiel bird we saw among Kamala Khan's drawings in the opening imagery of episode 1 was also a nod to that guy. It's a little too wacky of a concept probably for this show, but I'm so glad that they pay homage to him this way. Kamala and Nakia are late to mosque services, and we learn how the women's section of this mosque is less maintained. We get some crumbling tiles in the bathroom, mold under the carpet, less security around the women's shoe racks, because poor Nakia gets her shoes stolen. Maybe whoever that Skrull was who stole Nick Fury's shoes on the Skrull space station.
Got my shoes!
Skrulls might have a thing about stealing shoes, and we laugh about that, but I do think Skrulls are gonna show up in the show. At least I hope they will. And my favorite detail of this episode, later when Kamala saves that kid from falling, we get a close-up of the shoes, and what do you know? It was this twerp who stole Nakia's shoes. The women of this mosque have to deal with enough, kid. Onto Zoe's party, which becomes a pool party because Cameron does a high jump into the pool. Super weird to do, even though this pool is heated, because it is freaking cold outside. They're all wearing coats, they have these heater lamps, and now poor Cameron's gonna be stuck in wet clothes all night. As he leaves this pool, you can see some blue light and blue mist steaming around him, definitely evoking that bioluminescent form from the comics. Actually, later during Kamala's fantasy sequence, she envisions herself in purple neon and Kamran in blue neon, maybe a nod to them both being bioluminescent inhumans. I like how poor jealous Bruno tries to subvert Kamran's coolness.
You really belly flopped back there, man. That had to hurt.
Don't think so. Didn't really feel a thing.
Nice try, Bruno. Ain't gonna happen. Why? Because Cameron clearly has some oddly inhuman properties to his body. And Kamala flirt by discussing their favorite Bollywood films, referencing SRK. That, of course, is the great Shah Rukh Khan, massive Bollywood movie star. And they also mentioned two of his biggest titles, Bazigar from 1993 and DDLJ from 1995. He gives her his number, but again, as sweet as this seems, it is too good to be true. Kamran has ulterior motives and was clearly assigned by his mother to get close to Kamala. Bruno was right to be suspicious. If things are too good to be true, they often are. But poor Kamala doesn't know that yet because she is smitten. The lens dissolves into the lights, all forming these heart shapes. And then we get this adorable dance number to the Ronettes, Be My Baby. And again, because it's my job to ruin wholesome things, Be My Baby, sung by Ronnie Spector, produced by Phil Spector. Phil Spector was married to her and did horrible, horrible things to her. Look it up. So as sweet as things seem on the surface, there's actually a dark truth behind them. Now, last episode, we saw a similar fantasy sequence from Kamala's perspective of her whole family all dancing in celebration of Kamala. But now, notice it is only Kamala dancing as her parents watch on from the kitchen situation confused, Kamala is joined only by the beautiful, vibrant lights now filling the house. Because Kamala's core relationship in the series is really a dance between her and her lights. This fantasy turns to neon forms of her and Kamran drifting off into space, joined by two astronaut sloth babies. This transitions to Kamala daydreaming at her desk, and her nose suddenly glows. An analogous scenario to getting that surprise zit on your nose in the middle of a school day, naturally leading to Nakia, what a great friend, handing her a tampon. And by the way, I hope this was not the reason why this show was randomly rated TV-14, because you really think kids younger than 14 aren't also going through this kind of thing? Mr. Wilson tells Bruno that he got into early admission at Caltech, but Bruno isn't sure about jumping on this opportunity.
You know that part in the movie where someone comes in to the main character and they say, "You want to be a Jedi?" Or, "You want to answer phones of a demanding but impossibly chic magazine editor?"
As before, Mr. Wilson only knows how to speak to these kids in movie references, and in this case, Star Wars and The Devil Wears Prada. But despite knowing so much about movies, Wilson is failing to acknowledge that a classic step in every protagonist's journey is the refusal of the call. Luke Skywalker rejects Obi-Wan Kenobi initially and only leaves Tatooine once his aunt and uncle are killed. In Devil Wears Prada, Andy initially walks out of the interview with Miranda Priestley thinking she blew the interview and tries to quit several times before finally deciding to take the job seriously. So Bruno is at the refusal of the call stage. Let Bruno have his beats. So after school, Kamran waits for her by his sweet ride, and notice how the sun glares off the hood, blinding her with the light again. Last episode, all these lens flares, blinding lights representing Kamala being distracted. And I love the blocking here. Bruno blocks that light, gives her a relieving shade, trying to keep her away from this bad boy and shielding her from the blinding light. Also, you'll notice how Bruno wears a blue shirt and a red vest, which is not in the
Marty
comics.
McFly.
Kamala had a kid who sat behind her in class, dressed up as Marty McFly, who doodled Teen Wolf in his notebook. Kamran and Kamala chat some more about Bollywood stars.
Mine's the same. She still has a huge crush on Kingo Sr.
Ew.
Concerning.
Very.
They're referring to the movies of Kingo, Kumail Nanjiani's character in Eternals, a Bollywood star who would reinvent himself as a younger generation era after era. Kamran goes on to say,
Yeah, I mean, it must be a generational
That's pretty cool.
Because I don't really understand half the things my mom's into.
a very important line when you consider the context that Kamran may be a generational Inhuman as well, their ancestors having an extraterrestrial link. Maybe Najma was into Kingo knowing he's an ageless Eternal, not originally from Earth. Pretending she is much younger than she really is something that she also does. Amir catches them.
This is Kamran. He's our cousin.
Our cousin?
The ending of this episode does imply that they may actually be related. Hopefully he's adopted, because otherwise, why are you hitting on her like that, dude? Now, I've heard from a bunch of you new Rockstars viewers that you have already signed up for Boxu, but for those of you unfortunate, uninitiated, Boxu is amazing. It's a monthly subscription service. Click the link in the description and use the code ROCKSTAR to get $15 off your order. At dinner, Yusuf says,
That's why we moved to America, right? So that our children could be anything that they wanted to be.
Almost anything.
yes, this is a common hope of all immigrants, but might have a deeper context if Muniba doesn't want Kamala to be a cosmically powered Inhuman. Yusuf goes on to say,
Muniba's family moved to Karachi only after the partition. Back then, there was no Pakistan or Bangladesh. It was all one big country, India. After the British
The British left us with a mess.
So the partition refers to when Great Britain parted ways with British India in 1947 and the subcontinent divided into India and Pakistan, separating the military, the civil service, railways, treasury, millions of people along religious lines, Muslims to Pakistan, Hindus to India, displacing 10 to 20 million people, causing horrible ethnic violence, resulting in deaths estimated from several 100,000 people to 2 million people.
That's
It was
so
a
messed up,
horrible
man.
dark time, one of the worst refugee crises we've seen in human history. Yusuf explains how Muniba's mother was caught up in all that, a toddler on the last train out of a station, and got separated from her parents.
Nobody knows how a little toddler, Sana, managed to get back on the train just
before the train pulled out of the station.
I like how Amir completes this part of the story, but then Yusuf turns to Kamala to finish the second part of the story about how the toddler made it back to her father.
She followed a trail of stars.
Right back to her father.
And I like how there's some subtle musical chimes here, like it was some cosmic magic at play in this history. A trail of stars, referring to cosmic intervention, Kree tech, Inhumans, that Sana and her mother Aisha used to survive. Maybe even a Kree starship transporting her back to her father. Trail of stars also sounds like something America Chavez might have helped out with, using a path of star portals to teleport Sana back to her father. Now, this would have been almost 80 years prior. I'm not really sure how aging works in other dimensions like the Utopian Parallel, but it's just worth bringing up. Trail of Stars, you know? But when Yusuf mentions that Muniba's mother disappeared, the bangle glows, a white portal opens, and Kamala's eyes glow purple as they did last episode when she was transported to that other realm. In this case, a woman appears with a purple tinted face, and this is Nimra Busha's character, credited as Najma. I'm thinking also Kamala's great-grandmother Aisha, that Kamala's Nani, Aisha's daughter, said previously owned this bangle, and the purple color on her face could make her one of those purple entities from Kamala's vision. I believe all of them representing Aisha's other inhuman family and Kamala's broader ancestry network. But listen closely to the sound effects here. You can hear a train whistle. There is also the sound of a train under Najma in the back seat in the final shot. Both of these train sounds could be a nod to Aisha getting separated from Sana and Sana's father at that train station, and Aisha later helping Sana find him using that trail of stars. Now later in this episode, the Illuminantes will gossip about Aisha.
My father called her a snake. She put a curse on everything she touched. I heard that she had a secret affair and took off with someone. I heard she had many affairs and she had a secret family.
I heard she killed a man, happened during partition.
Yes, just some hot goss, of course, but it might be rooted in truth, just from a different point of view. Like Aisha may have had another family of Inhumans. She might have killed someone in self-defense, and her powers back then probably were viewed as a curse or some kind of superstition. I just love how this series grounds Kamala's family history in the partition between India and Pakistan, real-world history, when many lives were lost, many families were separated, and many at that point in history were ostracized as others. Something that could apply doubly to Aisha as an Inhuman in the 40s that would stir up these rumors and superstitions about her in that community, leading to her just getting separated during the partition and letting her family go so that they could have a normal life. Yet still, an Inhuman gene would have been left in the women of this family, a legacy that Muniba fears is a curse, feeling shame over it, but now Kamala has it and it has been activated. They attend the Eid festival at their mosque, or Eid al-Adha. Kamala jokes with Nakia and Bruno about the Illuminantes.
The Illuminantes, actually, they know everything.
We later meet them and Nakia's breakdown of the different groups of this community, which is just pretty interesting timing for Multiverse of Madness to introduce us to the 838 Illuminati. I would love it if this is the Illuminati of the 616 universe, and here in the animated title, the A is the all-seeing eye of the Illuminati conspiracy theory. We also meet the Mosque Bros, which actually includes a cameo by Bilal Falah, the co-director of episode 1 and episode 6. Then the Pious Boys have the same hands together image as Kamala's Bismillah drawing in episode 1, but notice how the hands separate to reflect that gap that Nakia refers to. And then the Insta-Click has Instagram labels like Tag, Blessed, Deen being a term in Islam for staying devout under Allah. Then DODC agent Cleary interrogates Zoe.
You're not the Zoe Zimmer.
The only one I know.
What? You have got to be kidding. I'm a big fan.
Wait, really?
Yes, everyone in the office is.
Yeah, Cleary knows that flattery is everything to youth suspects, similar to how he was able to get Ned to confess his role in No Way Home. But of course, his tone shifts.
And then the enhanced individual tried to kill you.
Aha, enhanced. That was the code term that the MCU used in place of mutants back in Age of Ultron. In this case, it seems to be a catch-all term for any rogue superpowered person. Mutant, Inhuman, Super Soldier, Hulk, anyone beneath the tier of Sam Wilson's Big Three.
What Big Three? Androids, aliens, and wizards.
But then Agent Deaver joins interrogation and
Did she have an accent of any kind? Was she Latina? I'm sorry, I'm supposed to say Latinx now, right? Middle Eastern? South Asian?
Yeah, Cleary's expression suggests he objects to this kind of racial profiling, but then he says,
let's do the tri-state sweep. Search every temple, community center, and mosque. Just be respectful. The FBI is already surveilling, let me know that.
They do leave Arian Moayed off screen, but you can hear in his delivery a bit of hesitation right before he says mosque. And then they include the mention of the FBI because yeah, since 9/11, the FBI has been monitoring mosques and Muslim community centers all over the country, a shift from the Bureau's focus on domestic terrorism in the 90s after the Oklahoma City bombings. And wouldn't you know it, that white nationalism didn't go anywhere. At the festival, a kid hangs from the tower, so Kamala has to suit up and cosplay to save him. I love how she tries to calm him down.
Do you have a favorite food? Ice cream pizza.
Did someone say ice cream pizza?
Yeah, ew.
I love how Najaf the vendor just got an idea for a new food to sell. This guy better be selling ice cream pizza next episode. Kamala lily pads over to him and tries to catch him, but when the hard light gives out, she has to form another landing pad, saving the day, we think, hopping off, forming another pose, just like her fantasy self did in episode 1, copying Black Widow. We see a frenzy of social media posts about this rescue, also commenting on the hilarious combination of pizza and ice cream. I love all these memes, but they include one from Frogman Jules, and we will see Frogman and She-Hulk. Eugene Patillo as as that goofball in the spring-loaded frog suit that he got from his father. This angle of this photo of Kamala falling is from above with the hard light below her. So Frogman must have been leaping over them to get this photo of this moment, doing nothing to save them. But then again, we also don't know if these memes are actually in real life or just Kamala's imagination of how she thinks everyone will love her because of this. Probably the latter. But Kamala's concentration is broken when her great-grandmother appears to her, so the hard light flickers out and the kid falls again. Kamala's embiggened hand fails to catch him, so she has to slow his fall with just more hard platforms, leading to a pretty hard landing. Oh, come on, kid, you already know it's your ankle. Kid's trying to get Kamala a yellow card. Kamala faces a drone that looks like a dark painted customized Stark drone from Spider-Man Far From Home and No Way Home, also cameoed in Multiverse Madness. Remember that? That was weird. Now remember, the DODC and other agencies confiscated these drones so they would be in possession of them, but they don't necessarily have full control over Tony's Edith software, which might be why the drone's inner interface looks different than it did in Far From Home. Deaver shows up with DODC agents armed with these handheld sonic cannons. This should look familiar to you. This is more Stark tech, first seen in the 2008 Hulk film. It was a Stark Industries design when they used it on the Virginia campus, but Tony also added these to War Machine's armor in Civil War when he used it on Wanda Maximoff. These were also on the Stark drones in Far From Home, blowing Peter off of Tower Bridge, and we see these same guns in the She-Hulk trailer, suggesting it is the DODC there in that show. Also, a crazy detail in episode 1, if you're looking closely, looks like there is a photo of Jamila Jamil on the DODC's wanted posters in that post-credit scene. Jamil is playing the supervillain Titania in She-Hulk. So since we see these guns in the She-Hulk trailer, that might mean the DODC is the same agency that Jennifer Walters is dealing with in that series. And if Matt Murdock dealt with the DODC in No Way Home, it's just one more way Daredevil could cross over into She-Hulk. It's all connected! Kamala wrecks these drones just as effectively as Peter Parker did, but the sonic cannon obliterates her hard light, making it look so brittle. And I think this hard light is actually meant to look wrinkled and creased to deliberately evoke paper mache, as if this is glowing paper mache, as Kamala's powers were activated while she was wearing paper mache Captain Marvel cosplay. As I explained in my video where I interviewed the directors, this form of Kamala's powers is intended to be a temporary look that Kamala will evolve past. And I think this hard light is really pieces of her Terrigen cocoon that she's gradually shedding off until she reaches her final form. Cameron's timing is amazing as he swoops in to pick her up, but in the backseat is a ghost!
Kamala, I've been waiting a very long time to meet you.
It's all connected? Because if Najma, aka the woman from the visions, is Kamala's great-grandmother Aisha, and if she's also Cameron's mother, that would make Cameron Kamala's grandmother's brother, or half-brother if he was born to a different father, but still, Cameron might be Kamala's grand-uncle? Thor, hook up Kamala with an escape here.
He's adopted.
Now, of course, it is very odd that Najma is still relatively young. If she's her great-grandmother from the 40s, she should be older, right? Well, Najma may instead just be a sister or cousin to Muniba, who just looks a lot like their great-grandmother. Might still be a relative that Muniba left behind in Pakistan, who in that case would make Kamran Kamala's cousin. But no, I don't think so. Najma looks exactly the same to these visions, and in those visions, she wore older clothes, had an older hairstyle, so I think Najma is the same person as Aisha, and the agelessness is because she is an Inhuman, the curse that the Illuminantes were talking about. Najma and Kamran might be Inhumans. Inhumans are known to live 2 to 3 times longer than humans are, age more slowly. Now I know you might say Eternals don't age at all, and Kamran did mention Najma liked Kingo movies. I just doubt that these characters would be ID'd as Eternals as well. There were only 10 Eternals on the planet. They were synthetic aliens. They don't really reproduce or anything. I really just think Najma liked Kingo because she identified another ageless figure hiding in public. Of course, another possibility to consider is that Najma might just be a Skrull taking on the identity of Aisha's appearance. The rumors that she was the snake could come from Aisha having a Skrull partner that she would trade places with, the way Fury and Talos have a partnership. Since in the comics, Kamran actually serves a villain called Lineage, Najma here might be this show's version of that character. It just remains to be seen whether she is truly villainous or someone who's actually trying to help her. But also we should point out, Carol Danvers' cosmic power up and ensuing Kree transfusions left her in a state in which she didn't really age from 1995 to 2023. So all of this might just be a symptom of Kree tech and cosmic radiation. And I just think it's so ironic that Kamala began this episode joking about how, like Ant-Man, she looks younger than she really is, and now that seems to be a genetic trait that she inherited. That is everything I spotted in episode 2 of Ms. Marvel. Check me out on Instagram and Twitter at EA Voss. Follow New Rockstars, subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Man, that was really good. Yeah, I definitely didn't notice that little kid that Kamala was trying to save was wearing her friend's shoes. Like, man, little thief. I'm like, man. Anyway, that's my reaction to Miss Marvel's Episode 2 breakdown, Easter eggs and details you missed by New Rockstars. See y'all in the next one. Bye.